What's poppin', guys? So, I've literally just gotten back from my orthopedics appointment to tell me what's wrong with my shoulders. I somewhat already knew going in because I had to go to the A&E because, well, I was just in a fuck ton of pain, and I had to get help from that somewhere because it was very drastic when I'm not going into like the ins and outs, but when I say I was in pain, it was like more than actual pain. And in the A&E, I got a doctor who was kind enough to go and look at my MRI results and basically tell me what was in them. But before we get into that, I just generally want to go over something else, and that is the state of the NHS. Healthcare and the NHS, in my opinion, is just complete shit right now, and I don't think you'll have a single person that'll really tell you otherwise. And it's unfortunate because I listened to the way my parents described the NHS and how they were treated, and the way my parents described their parents or my grandparents being treated by the NHS. And quite frankly, it sounds amazing. My mom's telling me stories about how doctors would come to their house, do house visits, and all of that stuff. And, even if it was just to come by and give them medicine, that's absolutely amazing as a free service. And I realize it's free. And, you don't have the right to be picky when you're using a free service, but I think you can just point out a few flaws. And it's just a shame when you're really not even, it doesn't even feel like you're getting the health care that you should be getting. And just, it seems like doctors don't really pay attention to you. And by that, I'm not saying that doctors they don't want to pay attention to you. I'm not putting the blame on doctors. It's a huge problem with the NHS because why would the doctors want to pay attention to you? They don't have any motivation. I mean, they're being funded by the government, so they make a fraction of what they would in the US. Like, they're by no means making amazing wages. Because of that, they've studied like just as hard as a doctor in the US would to make a quarter of the wage and probably have to work like a bunch more hours more. So they're burnt out and, making poor wages so you don't have interest or motivation to do your job. You're burnt out because you have to do your job more than you should have to do your job just to make a living. It sucks. And being burnt out is a real problem. And I can tell a lot of these doctors are burnt out. And that's kind of why I was so happy to get in the A&E like a junior doctor because at like a lot of the older doctors, you can just talk to them and you can tell that yeah, it kind of they don't have that passion, that spark, that drive to like help people anymore. It's kind of been sucked out of them. And again, I want to reiterate, like it's not their fault. It's probably a government thing, and the government's just not pooling their money into where it should be. But I'm no politics guy, and it's just yeah, it's sad to see. So now that the rant's out of the way, let's get on to what's actually wrong with my shoulders and what went down in today's appointment. So on my last MRI, which was just on my left shoulder, it showed that I had a partially torn labrum. Now, a labrum isn't supposed to heal, it just doesn't get the blood supply that it needs to heal, so they tend to only get worse with time, and then you eventually need surgery, and you have to strengthen the muscles around it as a workaround if you don't want the surgery. So I was expecting it to be worse, or fully torn, or just the same as before, but I am in more pain, so I expected it to be worse. But surprise, surprise, it wasn't there. Now, I have been taking another compound called BPC 157, or Body Protective Compound 157. I have a video that I'm trying to make on that in the progress, but I want to like record results and see how I actually feel on it and what it does, so you guys can have that to look forward to. And it's been shown to help heal ligaments and soft tissue injuries and things like that. But I don't think it should actually have the capability to heal labrum because it's just, what the data shows it shouldn't be able to heal a labrum. And so I kind of asked my doctor, like, hey, how can I have like a previous MRI that shows a partially torn labrum, and now you've just given me an arthrogram, or that's another MRI with contrast in it, and I'm completely fine other than supraspinatus tendinopathy. And his answer to that was, I can't elaborate any further, pretty much. And my response to that is just like, bro, why are you lawyering up with me just all of a sudden? Like, that's not normal. That's very strange because yeah, just say I don't know, or explore the realm of possibilities with me, like humor me a little bit, like tell me I was just like, yo, could the old MRI have been bad or something? Could they have like missaw something? And just to begin with, so this doctor didn't know that I'd actually gone to A&E and that the doctor in the A&E told me what was on my MRIs and had a lookie for me beforehand. And he was just not even going to tell me that I have supraspinatus tendinopathy, which yeah, I brought that up myself. And I don't know how I feel about that because I see why he may not want to tell me as a doctor, because that would be like, oh, there's a problem. Then I could be like, oh, I want surgery, or like, oh, there's a genuine problem. That's why I'm in pain. And it's probably better just to tell a patient, like, hey, you've got nothing wrong with your shoulder. It's just injured. Like, you've got to push through it and stuff. But I feel like as a doctor, you should have to tell your patient everything that they want to know or need to know, or that is wrong with them, even. Just because, like, information is power, like, knowledge is power. I just, if he can even, like, if he told me that, or if he didn't tell me that, and the junior doctor didn't tell me that in the A&E, then, like, I could look up videos on like what is this? What specific movements does it do? I think it like abducts your arm, and that's a thing that I struggle with. And I can look up videos on how to get better and actually educate myself on the shoulder and what's specifically wrong with me. So I just think that's very wrong of them to do, honestly. But it's cool. It's cool. It don't matter. Anyways, as for my right side, um, I have adhesive capsulitis, or in other words, a frozen shoulder, which I'm gonna be honest, I don't really know how frozen shoulders work. I think I've had it for like 10 months now, so I should have had like corticosteroid injections by now or something, probably, or just the wait for the pain management clinic team is just, it's very long. It was 50 weeks to begin with, and now it's down to 20 weeks. So unfortunate, unfortunate. But with all that said, I think that's unfortunately my worst fears confirmed. My left shoulder, um, yeah, it's got supraspinatus tendinopathy. Like, oh, my tendon's inflamed. I mean, it's not great, but I can only use my left shoulder. It is a little overworked from work and the gym, and that's the best I could have expected. And my right shoulder, it's only a frozen shoulder. While it's supposed to be painful, it's not supposed to be this painful. So worst fear is that all of the pain that I'm in and why I've been getting so much worse is because of chronic regional pain syndrome. And I think that pretty much is the only culprit we have left to blame at this point for all of my pain. So, unfortunately, I do think this is truly the worst outcome because, well, if something's clearly wrong with one of my shoulders, you can pinpoint that and you know exactly what to do. But if you've just got pain in your body, like nerve pain or whatever type of pain it is, and blood's not flowing to one hand for literally an unknown reason because there's no cure to chronic regional pain syndrome, that's more scary because it's not a one size fits all approach. It's not like oh, you just need like a shoulder repair or something, or this or that, or, this one medicine will help you because it's made for this disease. There is no one medicine. It's going to be many shots in the dark, and it could be a long time until I find something positive. But with that said, or something that helps, not something positive. But with that said, uh, I do think it's important to just take this as motivation and not get depressed by it and say, look, you know what? Like, I could be sad, I could get depressed and be like, yeah, okay, I'm never gonna figure out what's truly wrong with me. I may never actually get better or anything. Like, that's one way to look at it. Or I could take it and say, look, it's not really fucking positive, but I will try every single fucking way there is, and I will keep trying until I find a way to live pain free, or at least as pain free as I possibly can, and get my old life back together. And if that don't happen, I keep holding out hope that, someday soon in the future, the Cyberpunk 2077 world won't be so far away, and maybe I'll have like a little robot arm on my side. But no, anyways, just it's best not to get depressed about stuff like that. Like, honestly, I'm just gonna have to work harder and It'll be fine. It'll be great. It'll be a great journey. I'll bring you all along with it. As I said, I'm already trying other things for it, like BPC, and there will be a video on that uploaded very soon. So look forward to that. I'm looking forward to uploading that video, and peace out, my lovely people.